Call the meeting to order, please. Call the roll.
Mr. Brewley?
Yes.
Mrs. Escalante?
Yes.
Dr. McFadden?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Monk? Mr. Rickman?
Here. Quorum has been established.
Wait a minute, you didn't call me.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, Teresa. Teresa Jarrett.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here.
Quorum has been established again. Thank you. Next on the agenda, the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda, is citizens' comment. This is a portion of the meeting where you, the citizens, can address the board with any of your questions, comments, or concerns. Be mindful that you may not receive a response to your inquiries tonight. We ask that you come to the microphone and state your name and address. And last but not least, you have 3 minutes to do so, and I ask that you address all comments to the chair. The agenda is now open for citizens' comments.
Carl Hay, 540 Clinton River Drive. First thing I'd like to mention is those little green papers. Over 60 days ago, over 2 months ago, I filled out questions. I have filled out 3 of those. I have not had one question answered yet. And it says on there that you will write a response to me. No one's done it yet. Secondly, there was an inappropriate incident that happened at Seminole that I would like to know how things are going to be changed, because it happened to happen the week that we went to sign our daughter up, and we will no longer be taking our daughter to Seminole. We're looking for a private school because fortunately we have the means to be able to do something like that. But yeah, I'm real curious as to know how that situation is going to be handled and what recourse will happen to make sure things of that nature don't happen again. Then the other thing I just wanted to say was, I know I've made comments, so I don't armchair quarterback. I am one of the fathers that started that study hall that is every day now, Monday through Friday after school. I spend both my time and my money. All the kids get is snacks. I pay for it, along with one other father. It's out of my pocket, and that's 2 hours that I spend. And the young man who is helping us is Dante. He's very wonderful, very good with the students. We're also trying to get some people from Oakland University that are student teachers to come help us. So just so that y'all know, I don't armchair quarterback. As a coach, I can't stand when people come and tell me after the game what should be done, so I like to jump in the game myself. That's my comments.
Thank you, sir. Agenda is still open for citizens' comments.
Good evening. I'm Dina Pankatai. I'm here instead for Mary Campbell this evening for the union representation. And we just like to apologize that we appreciate that you're honoring the teachers this evening for Teacher Appreciation Week, but a lot of the teachers received notification earlier today, so they weren't able to make arrangements to be here. So it's not out of lack of respect, they just were not able to make the arrangements. So while there may be people who come in a little later, if they don't, that's why. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brandon Bowman. My address is 790 Maple Vista Street, Emily City, Michigan. I'm here representing the Mount Clemens Public Library. I'm here requesting that the Board of Education reappoint Kathy Tinkler to the Library Board of Trustees for a 4-year term. I have written a green sheet. I know you can't vote on that tonight, but I wanted to make a formal request to you and introduce myself, since I just took over for Don Worrell, who was, of course, over there for many years. So I just wanted to say hello and get a chance to talk to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Last call, citizens' comments.
The other thing I wanted to mention was that, to the best of my knowledge, the situation that caused a lot of fuss with the principal has still not been solved to an adequate representation of what this school should be. And I'm curious as to know what's going to happen. I believe you told the students, Ed, that day that you let them question you, that by Friday it would be handled. And I'm not really sure that's actually what happened. And I've got to kind of good judgment on this because a lot of them that we're helping are in both math and English.
Thank you, sir. Seeing or hearing none, moving the agenda forward. As Ms. Pankatai just addressed during her comments, we honor our Teachers of the Year that were nominated by their peers. The board or the superintendent did not select these individuals. These individuals were selected from among their peers at their respective buildings. And we're tonight to provide them with a certificate of appreciation. Is hereby awarded to, and it has the individual's name. One is Mary Campbell, one is Cindy Icor, one is to Danielle Stevens, and the other one is to Joshua Subcheck. And I'll read what they say. Certificate of appreciation is hereby awarded to their respective name, high school, middle school, preschool, and elementary. Teacher of the Year at Mount Clemens Community Schools, recognizing your deep appreciation for your leadership and exemplary service as a valued teacher in the Mount Clemens Community School District, given this day, May 15, 2019, Earl C. Rickman, 3rd Board President, Teresa G. Javis, Superintendent of School. All of these certificates will be provided to those individual teachers, along with a small token of our appreciation for the outstanding and committed work they do on behalf of what they do every day for the students in the Mount Clemens Community School District. So Ms. Pankatai, I don't know, I'll keep these here in case they show up. If not, I'll give them to you and you can. Okay, thank you so much. And next, we would like to recognize and honor some outstanding contributions from a couple of our students. And this is provided by Peter Lucido, who is the State Senator Majority Whip. And one of a special tribute is to Angel Delich and Don Williams. And it says, State of Michigan special tribute. One says to Don Williams, the other says to Angel Delich. Let it be known that we are proud to join with the family and friends of Don Williams, Angel Delich, as they're recognized for being awarded the 2019 Optimist International Youth Appreciation Award, while those closest to Don and Angel congratulate them on their achievements. So we want to add our praise and congratulations. Optimist Club recognized local youth for their efforts in the arts, athletics, academics, and community service work. Since 1956, Youth Appreciation has given Optimist Club the occasion to work with youth towards the common goals of education, career development, physical well-being, and community service, and is designed to encourage a greater exchange of ideas between young people and adults. In special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dated to congratulate Don Williams and Angel Delich on being awarded the 2019 Optimist International Youth Appreciation Award. Their commitment to their work is an inspiration to the community. We wish Don and Angel well on all their future endeavors. Signed, Peter J. Lucido, State Senator, the 8th District, on the 100th Legislature at Lansing, dated May 1, 2019. So both of these awards will be presented to the students. And again, it's from Senate Majority Whip Peter J. Lucido. Outstanding job for the students. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes for the April 17th, 2019 regular meeting. Special meeting held April 22nd, 2019, and the board workshop on May 9th, 2019. The chair would entertain a motion relative to the agenda item. Mr. Monk.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Before we make that motion, I would like to amend the consent agenda. I would like to move to amend the special meeting minutes of 4/22/19 and board workshop minutes of 5/9/19 to add discussion points to both meetings for approval at our next board meeting. These minutes are incomplete. I'll give you an example of the special meeting. On item 4, you have a list of the citizen comments, but after that, there's no comments by the comments that the board's made. It jumps right into item 5, and it takes a vote.
On
Yeah.
a special meeting, the
Yes.
board doesn't comment on special meetings.
We had
There-
discussion, though. We had discussion
Discussion regarding.
about this whole
Because there, on the special meeting, there is no section for board comments.
No. I'm not saying, but I was saying we made comments. We had dialogue. We had discussion back and forth.
But that's not part of the minutes if it's not part of the movement and voted on.
So why has it been part of the minutes in the past and not this time?
Because on the agenda for the regular meeting, it's on the agenda.
Not a regular meeting, I'm talking about
it said-
special meetings.
Again, on the regular, you said, why is it in the past? Now, I don't know if we've done that in the past.
It has.
On the special meetings. I'm not recalling that because it's not an agendized item for board comments. On all the regular meetings, there is an agendized item that says board comments.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is that if we have a meeting, special meeting, workshop, or whatever, the minutes are a public document and transparency for the public to read. So what you're saying is that if we have discussion and up on the citizen comments, it's all listed, and then it goes straight to item 5, which is personnel report for a motion.
And that's an action item, and the only thing
Right.
legally for action items, you need the person who moved, what they moved, who second, and the outcome of the vote.
So,
And the discussion does not have to be necessarily part of a legal minutes.
then we are inconsistent. And that goes against, because I looked it up on the policy 10160 minutes, up on the open meeting, and it states minutes shall be show only action taken and remarks of board members and board members' reports.
That's not what legal minutes are, but I understand. So how do you intend on recapturing comments made around the table from board members if they don't remember what they talked about?
Do we have minutes from that day, Superintendent?
And we have minutes,
The
We have
minutes are the
recorded,
minutes
I mean, we have recorded minutes of the dialogue.
not for special meetings, there's never any recording of special meetings.
But, can I make a quick
Yeah,
comment? If you notice on the citizen comments on the special meeting, all it says is who spoke and a brief thing, spoke on behalf of
Right.
so-and-so. That's all it says. It doesn't
Right.
say all of the information. Even, on those, it just says who spoke and what. On ours, I agree with the chair that, the special meeting, it lists what was voted on. It doesn't specifically go into every single
Okay.
detail.
Okay. And in the past meetings, the minutes have been in those agendas, and those have come to this board for approval. Now, if that's not the case, it's not the case. Then we need to be doing the same thing every time. So if that's not the case, I'm fine, that's not the case. But in the past, because I read the minutes, and I read everything, and I've seen comments made under special minutes, in special minute meetings. I've seen those. So if that's not the case, then I reject mine. If that's not the case, I withdraw, and then we can move forward. But that, I'm just saying, we're being inconsistent.
Understand, Mr. Monk. I'll look back myself and see if that's happened, because board comments are never part of the agenda on special meetings.
Okay, all right, okay. Then I'll make sure that we'll follow that going forward. If you go to the board workshop session, up under item 6, decision, board superintendent goals and evaluation. We as a board decided that you, which were a directive, and that should have been, because you just got I and nothing is there. I believe we said that you were supposed to contact, and if you refresh my memory, Ed, because you brought it up, he was supposed to contact the person in charge of superintendent evaluations to see whether,
What the
what the,
misunderstanding- right.
what the goal should be for the district. That's not listed in here.
It's you and I.
It just has I and nothing.
I can't find it. Mr. Brewley.
Yeah, just to
Try to-
further elaborate on it. A workshop is not a situation where we can make a decision, so for the public's purpose, we don't have a formal motion. But there was a general agreement that a conversation would occur to better define a question that came up amongst us.
Correct.
And we left it, that should have been included, but because we don't make motions at that meeting, I understand the mistake, so I would support, I assume your motion is to correct the minutes
That's it.
by stating that a phone call was supposed to occur between the president, the superintendent, and those with knowledge of figuring out that specific situation. So that should be in the minutes, because that is something that we wanted to reflect back on. But it wasn't a formal motion, because we can't make a decision at that meeting. So if the minutes could, I would support if that's a motion to correct the minutes to reflect that.
Yeah, that's
I
all
would
I'm saying. I'm
second
not
it.
saying, yes, listen.
Yeah,
I
no, I
understand,
would
there's no
second the
motions
motion to do
being,
that. Yeah.
right, there's no motions
Yeah.
being made in special
Right.
meetings. Well, special meetings it does, but not workshops. I think it's part of my.
But it needs to be
Yeah,
reflected.
it's part of my job diligently
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a
Absolutely.
board member to make
Yeah.
sure those are in there.
Absolutely.
Just so for clarity, just want to make sure for the workshops and special meetings, we want to include all action items, basically.
Well, basically, in the workshop, there were no action items. It was a directive
Well,
clarification
directive,
that-
yeah.
that I would, contact
Yeah.
Donna at MASB
Yes.
to seek clarification on that. And that's what they're wanting
I
added
got
to
you.
the minutes.
Yeah, just so it's reflected.
Yeah. Okay, the chair would entertain a motion, approve the April 17th, 29 regular meeting, April 22nd special meeting, and the May 9th workshop as amended.
I make a motion to that effect.
Moved by Ms. Jarrett. Is there a second?
Support.
Support, Ms. Walker. Any additional questions, comments on the motion on the floor? Hearing and seeing none, call the roll, please.
Ms. Jarrett?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Brewley?
Yes.
Mrs. Escalante?
Yes.
Dr. McFadden?
Yes.
Mr. Monk?
No,
Mr. Rickman?
Yes. Motion carries. Item 6, is business coming from the business, action items coming from the Business Committee. Action item A, approval of bills for payment. The chair would entertain a motion relative to the agenda item. Move, Mr. Brewley.
Yeah, I would move the bills.
Moved by Mr. Brewley to approve the bills for payment. Is there a second?
Support.
Second, Ms. Walker. Any questions, comments from the committee? Mr. Brewley?
Yeah, we met as a committee, and we went through them, and we only had a couple questions, and those questions were answered properly, and the bills are in accordance with the budget.
Any additional input from the committee? Any other questions or comments from the board? Mr. Monk?
yes, was the report provided to you guys, the one that you asked for 2 meetings ago about the expense report for the winter services And I know because we had a hard winter, and I know we've saved money in the past because we didn't have hard winters, but we did have a hard winter this time. And I know you had asked for a report. Did y'all look at that report and how it would reflect this budget for this year, if there's gonna be any type of?
As the bills come in each month, we look at them individually
Okay.
to see, and yes, we did.
Okay.
So we didn't get a report specifically on that, but as we look at them each month.
Okay.
And
But
there,
that-
you know, it's going to be a little bit more, but the offsets are there. Things seem to be in order.
Okay. I'm just saying that was an
Yeah.
action item from
Yep, yep,
two
yep,
board
yep.
meetings ago.
Yep.
Okay.
Any additional questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Brewley,
Yes?
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Jarrett,
Yes,
Dr. McFadden,
Yes.
Mr. Monk,
Yes.
Mrs. Escalante,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 7, personnel report. Madam Superintendent, 'cause I don't see anything unfunded.
You know something, that was from the lesson. We're looking at our new job descriptions, and we should have that to you guys by Friday. We're getting, and we do plan to have a survey with students and with staff where we will, for the new principal here in this building. So that piece is moving right along. And I think you'll be pleased with the job description. And we will be entertaining any ideas that you have once we get that to you. So that was it on that.
All right, thank you. Any questions of the superintendent?
You said that you'll be obtaining any ideas. You talking from the board members? From
Yes.
the
After you.
community, or?
After you guys review the job description, yes, if you have anything that you want to add or anything, and we will be doing a survey with the students, staff, and it is community. We're sending for parents.
This is the piece we talked about in personnel committee,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Any additional questions? Seeing none. Next agenda item. Item A, Policy Committee. You have to help me out, Mr. Monk. Here's a second reading. Your show, sir. Take the
Thank
floor.
you. Actually, I would like to amend the current agenda. I would like to amend it to move policy 6325 to item 11, first reading. We discussed that in our policy meeting, and I sent out and it was late, and I do apologize for that. I sent out an email to everybody stating why that should be moved. We're going to move that. We're actually going to expedite that policy, but I have took a look at the new policy. Actually, let me go back. The policy is a new policy that's in our new packet of volume 33-2. Because it's a new, the language, they've actually gotten rid of some language in the policy, and the policy has changed slightly, not a lot, but slightly. It doesn't reflect, because the policy that is on our website has not been changed over yet. So that policy, we're going to move for today's meeting for first reading, to have it to be adopted for second reading at the next board meeting, to expedite that because of the grant curriculum situation that is coming up. So we want to expedite that. So that's why I want to move that. It's not because of the new language. We're kind of going to be hitting two birds with one stone. We're going to expedite it, but we're going to take care of it because it's a new revised policy that we should be discussing next month, but we're going to move it to this month because of the grant curriculum, and the superintendent can elaborate on that, and whatever we need to do in order for that grant to go forward.
So what you're saying, this policy 6325, in fact, is not a revised, but a new policy?
It's a revised policy with new language.
Gotcha.
So that's why we have to, the board policy is that when we bring any revised or new policy, it has to go to first reading, second reading.
Right.
If we send it straight to second reading, then we out of compliance. Yes.
But any revised policy would be revised because of language.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said. Language changing it.
But, so I'm just trying to help me out.
Okay,
I'm trying
all
to-
right.
You said it's new.
Before you guys go on, let me make a
Yeah,
clarification.
okay.
The policy that is in here, we did look at this one before. So this particular one really is the second reading. There will be another one coming out later on, but the one that's in here right now, we never did move it to second reading. We had a first reading a couple months ago, and we never moved it to first reading.
Okay.
I mean, to second reading.
Okay.
So the language in here right now is sufficient for what the grant needs. And so that's why we were going to go ahead, because we know there's another one coming that would up this one. But in order to meet our grant needs, we're going ahead and adopting this one for a second reading, because we did have the first reading a couple months ago, and it never moved over. When we were looking back, we couldn't figure out why we never moved it over to over to second. So, but when we did meet with Dr. Peters, he did say there's another one coming. And he even asked if we wanted to wait, and said, well, no, because we need this, the most current one that they had on the books right now. And then we'll bring another one to the committee when the newer language comes out. But what's in here, in this one, will suffice for what the grant needs. So that's why it's under
But that's not
second
what we
reading.
discussed at our committee meeting. And it says it right here in the committee meeting minutes. It says that we will bring this for first reading on May 15th and second reading and adoption on 6/19. Well, actually, it's not 6/19, it's 6/18.
Right,
Meeting's
right.
going to be on 6/18. That's what we discussed in the committee meetings, and we discussed that at length. So now you're saying, no, we need to bring this to second.
I'll show you the one where we did do this as first reading.
But with
And
this
that's
right
what-
here, this will be the most,
It's not.
this
That's
will
what
be
I'm
the
telling you.
newest, the
This
one
one
that
is
we're,
not.
the one,
This one is not.
hear me out.
Okay,
6325.
okay.
Policy that's in volume 33, number 2. That's our latest packet. 6325 is in there. This will be our newest language. So why not move to do our newest language? That's why I say it's kind of knocking out two birds with one stone. Because if not, then we're going to have to go through the whole process again of going through first reading, second reading for the new policy. So we can do first reading, second reading now and knock it out the box. And still be in compliance for what you need for the grant situation.
But look at this one, the one that you have, and look at the information that we wrote in there. We did not write this in there at the last policy meeting. We did this a long time ago. That's what I'm telling you.
And now you're proving my point, so that's why the newest one, we need to do it for first reading, then we'll go back to our policy, finalize it, tighten it up, whatever we got to do, then bring it back for second reading, and it's good to go.
But we don't, Mr. Mark, can we do a recess real quick so I can clear this up with him?
We can discuss it now. What is the new language? Because if we got new language,
Well,
who is it coming from, and what is the new language?
All right.
Does it vary? What's the
This
difference?
packet came out a month, we should have actually been on top of this a month ago. The policy committee got this packet late.
Okay.
We should have got this a month ago. So, the new language. And it's really not a lot, really. The only thing, let me see, let me just check, because everything else is the same. It would have helped if you guys had this in front of y'all, but obviously you don't. Because also with this, an administrative guideline goes with this also. The new language says this: the superintendent shall maintain a procurement and contract administration system in accordance with the USDOE requirements, including affirmative steps for small and minority business and women's business enterprise. That's the new language. That's the only new language that's in that policy.
That is not what the board has. The board has.
Oh, no,
to
they don't
run-
have none of this.
Exactly, that's why
Right.
it can't be a first
And that-
reading.
It definitely can't be a second reading if they ain't got it.
The one that they have is a second reading, that's what I was saying to you.
Okay.
The one that they have is the second reading. Then
So what
this
you're saying
what-
is that you wanna pass the old language tonight, and then we'll start on the new
Yes.
language next meeting?
Yes, that's
Let's
what
do
we,
that. For the sake of argument, for the sake of time, let's do that. We'll do that. So, back to my report. Policy 2340, we've already reviewed that for first reading, that's up for second reading. Didn't get any other questions or comments from board meetings on that. Here is the new 2340 AG that will be added. And then for second reading, we're going to do the 6325 procurement for federal grants, and I will entertain any questions that anyone may have.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That policy 6325 procurement of federal grants.
Yes.
Is there some type of timeline that this needs to be in place for us to apply for certain grants or
I'll
something?
I'll
or-
let Madam Superintendent answer that question.
yes, it is, that's why this one was brought to you. We did not go through the new language on the revision that we got the other day. So, but what we need in place right now is, we were told that this is, they will accept this one.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need
Yes.
to know. Appreciate that.
Any other questions, Mr. Monk, or regarding the policy? Chair would entertain a motion relative to the second reading of policy 2340, circular field trip and non-mandatory student trips revised, and policy 6325, procurement federal grants / funds revised.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Monk,
Support.
second by Dr. McFadden. Any questions, comments, discussion on the motion on the floor? Yes, sir, Mr. Brewer.
Yeah, I would just like to amend with some additional language, 2340, Section A, second paragraph, reads, "These field trips require the approval of the superintendent or his or her designee." And I would like to add, "They shall keep a list to be updated monthly and provided to the school board curriculum committee."
Where it is, I got the policy up there. Where are you making the recommended
This
change?
is Section A,
Section A, okay.
second paragraph, it's one line,
These field trips require the approval of superintendent, his or her designee, that line.
right?
Okay.
And they shall keep a composite list and provide that to the curriculum committee. So they compile it every month with all the additions. We have a list, for example, of field trips here, and we've been trying to get these in the curriculum committee to know what's sort of going on and what they're doing in different classes. And I think it just goes along with this, that it's part of the policy that then, once the decision's been made, that this is then given to the curriculum committee each month.
You had that language down?
Yes.
Is there a second for the amendment to policy 2340? Is there a second to the amendment of policy 2340? I'll second it for the sake of discussion.
Glad you did that. I want to do a discussion on that. Since it's legal policy, you want us to give a list every month. How long are we supposed to keep these lists? Is there,
For the academic year.
for the academic, so we need to amend that for the academic year. And shouldn't there be more of a policy with a guideline for the superintendent administrative staff to provide update lists to the committee instead of saying a policy. The reason I said it is because of the legal terms of the policy being law. That put us in the bind of saying every month, forever, this will be provided to this curriculum. Now, what if the curriculum committee changes to a different name, such as, I don't know, administrative committee or whatever? Then we had a policy we got to revise that we might not know was in the policy. I'm just saying, I'm just being a devil advocate here, because I'm looking at policy, looking at legal words. So, I mean, maybe a different rewording of that, guidelines or something of that nature, but to say as in, well, we're already going to change it anyway, because we're going to say for that month or that year, academic year. So the wording needs to be a little bit different. I would say, instead of just adding that to the policy now, probably approve this policy with the recommendation for this policy to go back to committee and have the chair come up with wording with what we request.
I don't have any problem with that either. I just think we've been trying to get this information, and it's come sometimes and not others. And I think if we're going to focus on trying to improve the curriculum, we want to see what is going into it. However that works is fine for me, as long as it works.
I agree 120,000%. I'm on the curriculum committee with you.
So after reading this, I thought that's an easy amendment. I mean, if the curriculum committee's name changed, someone's going to take care of it, then we can make that change later. But we've always had a curriculum committee, so I don't see that as a big deal. But we need to know what is happening. I think that information is helpful to know what's going on. Because some of these trips are listed in the budget. It's like when we're at the finance committee. The payment for these things are there, and so sometimes I get my information from the finance meeting as to why are we paying for this and what did they do, as opposed to getting it in the curriculum committee, which is what it's supposed to benefit.
I'm at this stance. This is a very important policy because we got things that we need to get moving, especially when it comes to the curriculum and advancement of this the academic achievement of the students. I would like this policy to be approved, but I would like something to go back to the committee to amend some of the wording. Basically, bottom line, it can't be approved. I just recommend the policy go back to committee.
Recommendation to committees.
I don't want I'm in accord with everything else. I don't want it to sort of just.
And that just because of what was added. Now, before that, I was fine with the committee as is. And Mr. Monk, go ahead.
Well, you know, you put a motion on the floor. I'm gonna deal with the motion. It's been a motion to send the policy back to committee. Is there a second?
I support.
Second by Ms. Jarrett. So that is the current motion on the floor, and a motion to send back to committee overrides all other motions. So basically,
Wait,
yes, ma'am.
I apologize.
Go ahead.
Is this amendment to send the policy, all of it, back to committee?
Yeah, that means the whole policy goes
Okay.
back to
Yes.
I'd like to retract that.
Okay. What's the consensus of? Because once a motion has been put on the floor in a second, it becomes the decision of the group. Is there a consensus to allow, to accept the withdrawal of her her second amendment?
I accept it.
Yes.
Yeah, it can come
I
back.
accept
It can come back.
It's been,
Okay.
so we're back to the,
My motion has
Yeah.
probably would die for no support, but either or, my motion's on the floor.
What was the motion?
To send the policy back to
send
committee.
back to
I
committee.
support that.
Second by Mr. Monk. So now the motion on the floor that we're dealing with is to send policy 2340 back to committee for reworking. Is there any questions, comments, discussion on the motion on the floor? And the motion on the floor is to send the policy back to committee for reworking. Mr. Monk.
This is why I need all of my board members to read your information. We've been working on this policy, and it's been spearheaded by you, Ed, but we've been working on this policy for the past 4 months. Now it's coming back, and we got other policies that we need to do. We are being bogged down, and that's our job, but I please, if everybody read your emails, read the information that you have, and this could have simply been done and corrected. And today, it could have been, the language could have been in there, and this could have been accepted. So now it has to come back to policy. Then we got to do it all over again. Come on, y'all. I just ask y'all to just read your information, and we ask, any comments, any concerns, email me, text me, let me know. As a committee, we'll do it, we'll dialogue it, and then we'll put it in and we'll bring it back. We'll get it out and make sure everybody sees it, and we're good to go. We can move forward.
Mr. Brody.
Yeah, I'm prepared to vote on this tonight and to accept it, because I think it's fine as it is. But thinking it over, I thought with an amendment, there would be something that we could improve on it. I don't see that you have to send it back to the committee to make an amendment. I will vote against sending it back, because I think we should approve it tonight. I think it's perfectly good as it stands. I think it has many good points. I also think you can amend a line here or there, and that's a process that can be followed. And had I had that thought earlier, I would have brought it to you, but it was in the intervening time, so rather than let it pass, I wanted to bring it up.
Any further discussion on the motion on the floor? And the current motion on the floor is to send back to committee.
Now, if this motion fails, we go back to the vote on moving this policy to second reading. Is that correct?
No.
No.
We move to adopt, because
To
this
adopt.
is second reading.
Yeah, I meant to say adopt, but, because this is second reading.
We have to, if it goes, we don't send it back to committee, we have to vote on the amendment, which I made and you seconded.
Correct.
Then
You're right.
we
Yes,
would do it
right.
final.
You're right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any additional questions, comments on the motion on the floor? And the current motion on the floor is to send back to committee. Seeing or hearing none, call the roll.
Dr. McFadden?
Yes.
Mr. Monk?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
Mrs. Jarrett?
No.
Mrs. Escalante?
No.
Mr. Brewley?
No.
Mr. Rickman?
Yes. Motion carries.
Motion don't carry.
Excuse me, motion fails. So now we're dealing with the motion amendment made by Mr. Brewley with the language that he stated to be up under these field trips require the approval of the superintendent, his or her designee, then the language. Can you read that back, please, Joy? The amendment that Mr. Brewley put forward, can you read that language back, please?
Yes. So it says that they shall keep a composite list and provide the curriculum committee, read my own handwriting, for academic year, for the academic year. Sorry about that. Let me repeat that just so it's clear. It says they shall keep a composite list and provide to the curriculum committee for the academic year.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Any questions? This has been moved and second. Any questions, comments, discussion on the motion on the floor?
Yeah, I got a discussion on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that motion, I perfectly okay with me, but instead of amending the policy, why don't we just make a separate motion by itself and say this information needs to be provided to the curriculum committee monthly for the academic year? Because when you got to amend the policy, you got to change the verbiage in the policy, and not just sit down and look at it. I think that's not our due diligence. I mean, especially when it comes to a policy. I've been on that policy committee for 4 years, and I know it's all about the language. If it's a separate motion by itself and saying, I move for the superintendent or whoever on that, of this policy such and such with the names of what students, whatever, be sent to the curriculum committee every month, held for the academic year, that's acceptable. But to change the whole policy within itself, I think that's irresponsible. But it is what it is, and when the motion goes, it goes, but I know how I'm voting, and it's going to be a no from me.
Mr. Monk?
It sounds that, and I agree with what Mr. Brewley wants, but to me, am I dealing with this policy? And I've been on it for the last 5 years. It sounds like that's more of a AG, not a policy. That's more of an administrative guideline. Because now, when we put it in a policy, so now it's a legality, it's a legal act. So we need to keep that in a file. Somebody need to be responsible for it. It needs to be produced, as you say, on a monthly basis. That's adding more time and energy to the administration staff. I think it should be in a administrative guideline, not the actual policy. I think the actual policy should stand, but that verbiage should be, and that can be added to the guidelines for overnight trips. You can add another line down there saying that will be reported to the curriculum committee as far as guidelines for trips. Because the first part is the guidelines for trips, and then the next 2 pages is actually, next, I think, 3 pages. Yeah, the next 3 pages is actually how it's ran. So that's my opinion.
Any additional questions, comments? Mr. Rewley?
The reason that I don't want it in the academic guidelines or the guidelines is because it has been forgotten. The reason I would want it in policy is so that it isn't forgotten and it's put front and center. These guidelines are for overnight trips. This speaks of curriculum field trips. If you did it in here, it would only be for overnight trips, very few of those. If you did it in here, any curriculum field trip is what would be reported to the curriculum committee. And that's not what is always done.
Okay.
So
let me add.
I'm happy to deal with life as it is. I will keep reading the financial things, and as I see the bills come up, I will compile it from there. But all I know is it needs to be front and center in a document that is very clear, so it gets done.
I mean, wouldn't that show up in bills for payment that is viewed by the finance committee on a monthly basis?
Right.
Yeah.
And I
So what
find
you
it-
saying, is that don't show up in the financial statement
No.
for bills
Well,
for
it does,
payment?
That's how I find it. It doesn't show up in curriculum. I find it in finance.
Okay, sounds like this is curriculum and finance, the communication, it really ain't got nothing to do with policy. But it's like right now, we're dealing with a policy issue, but it sounds like the communication between both committees is not happening. And whoever inputs that information, like you say, you don't find out about it until, and curriculum should be, I mean, now that we have a curriculum director, she should be the one on top of it, making sure that that's reported.
It's the superintendent must approve it,
Okay?
or their designee. I don't know who the particular designee is for these things.
Who is
It
that
may or may
designee,
not.
Ms. Davis?
The principal approves it and they send it to me, and then I approve it.
Which is how all field trips go.
Right.
in the buildings.
Right.
And what's the process of, okay, I'm just asking, so what's the process of getting that information to the curriculum committee after it's approved?
Now, we can, and we have been compiling a list, because you guys asked for that at the beginning of the year. So now as it's adjusted, then we adjust it, but if it's no changes, we haven't been. But I could send the same report each time like we're doing with the, contract. You get the same report every month. So that could be another one that we add just every month.
I just feel we're making this big thing out of this, where it's a simple, just report. You know, when it gets approved, it automatically reports to curriculum. It's gonna show up in finance. And I think that should suffice. That's just me. I'm a simple kind of guy, so. But Ed saying he don't see it until you see it in finance. It should show up in curriculum, but you don't see it till you see it in finance.
Mr. Bruley, are we asking for the names of the students or the name of the event or the trip?
The activity that is happening. The activity is happening.
And so we put the date and who's going, where they're going.
And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. And you see the bills, I happen to be on finance, which meets earlier, so I see it there. Then in the afternoon, we have curriculum, and if you're not on both, you don't necessarily see it. No, I don't think it is a big deal if it was a routine monthly thing. I just want to whomever is in this position, I can handle it, but if someone is new or someone is designated, there needs to be a routine way of doing it, that's all.
Matt,
Ms. Jerry?
I have a question. So, let me understand. There's a form that is filled out for this, the first person who's doing the overnight activity.
Yes,
There's a form, correct?
yes.
Does it have on there approved by the principal? Does it have on there approved by the
Yes.
superintendent?
Yes.
Does it have on there that it goes to the curriculum committee and the finance committee?
No, but what we could do is just give you guys a copy of all of the field trips.
Well, that's the part
You
where I
want
think
that?
where Mr. Monk was speaking to, and that there's that communication gap. I mean, it seems to me whoever's the chair for the curriculum committee and the finance committee, those two individuals should receive a copy of that. And again, it speaks to the administrative arm and not a policy. And that's my,
We can do that. We'll just make sure you get a copy. of
Hold
This
up.
AG, like Mr. Monk pointed out, is for overnight trips. Not all field trips are overnight.
Overnight.
but,
That's where Ed's concern is coming in. He wants
right.
that report.
No, I get that, but it would seem to, I'm just thinking with more of an administrative brain, that you have a checkbox for overnight, and you got a checkbox for,
Right.
During the day.
during the day. If it's, one or the other and stuff, it seems that that should be the solution instead of making a policy out of it. That communication, one, as communication, two, they have a checklist they have to check off to send that over. And it has to get, just me, I mean, I'm an electronic guy.
Yeah.
Well, let's
I don't
go
know
like
why
this.
that's not automated.
We can give you a copy of each one.
Hold on, I might have a solution there. This wasn't uploaded into the system. Remember I asked to have the policy, the committee notes uploaded into the system. It wasn't there, and I checked it, and I should have got on it quicker. Because it was supposed to be added to the board packet. If you would have received it, you would see that all the field trips was talked about at the curriculum committee. So it's already there. So we are receiving the information. That's why I'm asking, like, are you looking for the names of the students or the event itself?
No, and no. If we
I'm
received
confused.
complete information, it
Right.
would be fine, but we don't receive complete information.
Okay. That's
There
better.
is not a process. If we had a process, as Teresa was speaking of, I would be perfectly content with that. We don't. And I find things, oh, we have a field trip to the movies. Where is that in this form? Not there. What are they going to see? What class does it relate to? I don't care how it is resolved. I would accept any way. But I want one way, and I want it monthly, and there have been months it's not there.
So we all agree then, this is some language that we can't take.
And I got a solution to this whole situation. Luckily, I'm the overachiever that I am. In AG 2430 F4, page 1 and 2, trip request, co-curriculum, extracurriculum, so it covers both trips. It has advisor, it has group, it has date request, date of trip, destination, purpose of the trip, departure time, return, district costs, how it's funded, student costs, how it's funded, means of transportation, number of staff, number of chaperones, and I think that's all the superintendent has to add a line, say, send report to curriculum, send report to finance.
That's what I was saying. We get those when they are asking for it. We can send a copy of that form because it is complete. Instead of making a list, we just send a copy of that form that we sign off on, and you can get that.
And then from that, each curriculum, the chairpersons make sure it's on the agenda to be talked about.
Only one thing. The light bulb went off, Ed. Thank you very much. The thing that I think he is really asking for is how this relates to the curriculum.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like, if you go and see Shazam, what class is that with?
That's what, I just read it. It's purpose, it's got purpose on there and everything.
I didn't, no, it's so much use, I didn't hear the word
Yeah, it's
purpose.
got purpose. It's got, purpose of trip. It's a line, right? It says purpose of trip.
Well, the purpose of the trip could have been like, the kid was good for the day, but.
No,
But he has to tie in, it ties into curriculum.
Curriculum,
It's something
yes.
I heard,
Yes.
how it enhances.
Yeah, this is co-curricular.
that class.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, it's right here.
Fair enough.
But it seems like we got the information, it's just not being
Being-
consistently
Right.
disseminated.
Right.
That seems what the issue is.
So it has to be consistently coming from the superintendent to the chairperson of curriculum, chairperson of finance, and they gotta be consistent and put it on the agenda when it happens.
and just for clarification, those trips are planned at the beginning of the year. So we give you those lists, so as it goes through the year, it's not like it's a new trip that somebody just decided to go. They were already planned, so we give it to you in the fall, and it doesn't change, so, but if you're saying you want to keep getting that same list, fine, but it has to be planned. That's why we're doing this one thing with the grants, that one policy with the grants, because they're putting things in place right now for next year, so we'll know what different field trips were going on. So, in the fall, we give you guys that list. And,
Well, but I don't want to disagree, but that class did not know that they were going to see Shazam in the spring of this year, in September.
but it did.
That was not
Yeah.
done then. And there are trips that are added in curriculum-wise over the course of the year, which is why we need the same list updated so that we can see it. So that's just an example of what I found in the bills, said, what is this? What does this relate to? How is this academically enhancing? What are we talking about here? And so that was not given to us at the beginning of the year. It couldn't have been, because no
Okay,
one knew that existed.
Well, the particular movie, but it did say that was an incentive, and we only, remember, we only do incentive when
This was
it's
for
a
an
half a day.
academic class. This wasn't an incentive trip. As it came out, it was for a comic class. It was not an academic,
Oh, that was.
it was not an incentive trip, and that's
Yeah,
just my
that one,
point.
yeah.
It was for a curriculum that sort of got us into more discussion about what we should be doing, appropriateness and things like that, and does it raise the bar? It wasn't an incentive trip, and it wasn't added to any of the lists.
Okay,
And unless you saw the bill,
okay.
it wasn't
Well-
presented.
Well, what we'll do is make sure when the teachers fill out those forms, I will make sure that the board gets a copy, because it does say what
If
it's for.
that-
And then that'll
If
answer
that will
those.
be the case, I'm happy to
Okay.
have that be the
Okay.
case. I
We can
would
do that.
withdraw the motion if that's set, but the policy book is the only book I know about that we read, and where these academic guidelines are,
Okay.
I'd like to see that book for
Okay.
procedures, because I don't think we have a very good book on procedure. Just my belief.
And we did
We
send.
may,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been shown to me.
It's online, and we did send you the code to get into that.
Yeah, I understand. I'm glad it's online. I think we should have a book too.
Ed, you know how I think that book is? That book stands about this high off the table.
Well, then let's go for it.
Okay. Get Ed a book.
One copy. No, for the school. I can come here. I don't need a personal copy.
Any additional question, comments on the motion on the floor? And the motion on the floor is to add the language shall,
Well, I will withdraw the motion based on the fact that we have a procedure now to get us the information. So I'll withdraw my motion if you withdraw your second.
I withdraw the second, but it has to be up to the body.
Right,
Since,
I understand.
you know, what's the consensus of the body to withdraw the amended motion? I hear nods there, and nods here. And it's a consensus of the board to
I'll allow it.
withdraw. It's still the consensus. You-
I'll allow it, it's
Yeah.
okay.
To withdraw the motion to amend the policy 2340, which takes us back to the original motion that was made by Mr. Monk and second by Dr. McFadden. That is to approve policy 2340 as presented and policy 6325 as presented. Any questions, comments, discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing or seeing none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Monk?
Yes.
Dr. McFadden?
Yes.
Mrs. Escalante?
Yes.
Mrs. Jarrett?
Yes,
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Brewley?
Yes.
Mr. Rickman?
Yes, motion carries. That was fun. Item 9, Cable Commission appointees. Madam Superintendent,
Yes, there were,
I didn't see the names in the packet. I just might have missed the page. I didn't see those appointees' names.
okay, that is, the board appoints 3.
Yes, I know, but
Okay.
I did not,
Oh, okay.
we did not see the names that we're voting on, that were
Turn
recommended.
it over to.
I was not privy to applications either. They were sent directly to the superintendent's office as per the city clerk policy.
It was, okay, we had 2 board members on it. That was Mr. Monk and Ms. Escalante. And I forgot the gentleman's name that had the other one.
How, Mr. Lindbergh, how expeditiously does this need to be done?
Our next meeting is in 2 weeks, then it's bi-monthly, and we do have a quorum, I do have 4, so if all 4 of my current commissioners come to a May meeting, we'll be fine. They'll obviously all have to agree to pass anything. Beyond that, our budget's already been approved, so we really have nothing pressing at the moment.
'Cause I'd like to send this back because I don't know who would vote, I don't know who I'm voting on. That information was not contained in the packet.
And I was not for the applications either,
Understood,
which is fine.
understood.
Obviously, I don't need to be that.
I don't know, Mr. Brewer.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you, but I did call about this to have this prepared. The people who applied through the city because we don't have any place where they can apply, so they filled out the city application.
But
It's
they
the
were
city's commission.
But don't we?
You have
appoint-
3, you appoint 3 members to the commission, but the commission is a city commission
And
through the cable
that's-
ordinance.
And that's where they went online.
Correct.
And applied, put their resumes there,
Correct.
and that's what I called about to say, do we have this? I also looked for these applications which aren't included.
And I didn't get an application, I just had some names.
You didn't get an application, but that's why I called and said, the city clerk has that information, and you have to glean it from them.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that, thank you. I did not know that.
Historically,
Because we don't have an online way, and we don't have a form even to come in the office. So they use the city's application.
as Mr. Lindenborg alluded to, historically, the board recommends or approves 3 people for the committee. And that's what I'm not seeing. And based on what you're saying is, since the people who are interested come being appointed from the board recommendation, they didn't have any process by which to do so, so they went in and signed in on the city commission's website on their application when they don't have any more seats to appoint, to recommend, if I'm understanding this correctly. The 3 seats that are open are recommendations from the board.
Correct. The city already has their 3
Correct.
appointees. We have an at-large appointee.
Right.
And then there's 3 open for the school board. They all have to use the city application for the commission or a committee.
Gotcha, okay.
Because
okay.
again, it is,
It's their
the
committee.
position is there because of the cable ordinance
Gotcha,
through the city.
Right,
The
right.
commission does not exist without the city.
right.
So they have to use that application process through the city clerk. They then forward that to you for your approval.
And it's usually the people who are recommended, say a board member say, hey, would you be interested in serving on the cable commission? The board recommends and approves 3 people.
Correct.
The process is still the same, I just, yeah, I don't know who we're voting on. That's.
Right, that's what's the problem.
And I didn't know the process, because we've never done this. I don't remember the board ever doing this before, so I don't know the process. So you're saying I need to go to the city and get the applications?
or just call the city clerk. They have all the information. That's where.
Okay.
I thought there was a memo sent out. I'm looking at my phone, I can't find
Yeah,
it. There was a
it
memo
was-
sent out with the 3 members.
Right.
Did you go to the city,
It was, yeah, I saw that.
Mr. Monk? Did you go
You
to
just
the
had the
city and fill out
names.
the application?
Nope.
And that's the process, though.
You got, that's the
That's
process.
the process.
That's what we was talking, that was what me and Ms. Escalante was talking about.
So y'all just threw your names in the hat and said,
Yeah, we
Superintendent, I
got
want to be
names
on
and
it.
I said, yeah, we'll be on it.
But that doesn't meet the process. There's an application. Right.
There's names. in
Patrick,
this email.
can you get us a couple applications?
Absolutely.
Thank you, appreciate it, brother.
I would like to table this to the next meeting because lack of information.
But you said you have a quorum to conduct what you gotta do?
There need to be some type of dialogue between, I know there is, between us and the city or the commission for a situation like this. Because I'm not gonna fault anybody not knowing the information, but not knowing is not really, good enough defense. I can run a stop sign and still be at fault.
But if the city has a process, we have to follow that process because it's their committee.
Exactly.
I'll move to table the next meeting, but we have followed the process.
Moved by Mr. Brewley to table.
Hold on.
It's a motion on the floor, but you know.
Oh, she's trying to get your attention before you get a motion.
Okay, well, you'll get a chance after second to ask questions and comments. I'll do that. Is there a second to the motion?
Before discussion's going, I second it.
Second by Dr. McFadden. Ms. Escalante.
I have an email here that we all received, and the 3 applications that were filled out at the city are right here on the screen.
On the screen,
It's
yeah,
got the
that's-
names of the.
It's not in the board packet. I don't make decisions off an email.
No, we understand that. We're just saying, I don't know why it's not in the board packet.
That's what I'm saying. It's
You know what
lack
I'm
of
saying?
information.
It should be, but yeah, that was the email that I was talking about.
What date on that email, Ms. Escalante?
It looks like it came through, hold on.
Was it the 8th?
I think it was May 8th. Yeah, Wednesday,
5/8.
5/8. And it says cable commission applicants, and it's a
Mhm.
forward.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion on the floor to table to the next meeting? Or postpone? Seeing or hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Brewley,
Yes.
Dr. McFadden.
Yes.
Mr. Monk,
Yes.
Mrs. Escalante,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Jarrett. Yes. Mr. Rickman.
Yes, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, agenda item 10, business, these information items coming from the Business Committee. Item A, open purchase order listing. Any questions or comments on item A? Item B, financial reports. Mr. Brewer.
We went through it.
Every-
We went through all of the monthly reports and found them to be in compliance of the state reports.
Any other questions, comments on the financial reports? The EDAP report,
Yeah.
Extended Deficit Elimination Plan report. Any questions, comments?
How we doing on that, Superintendent? EDUP, we right on track?
Yes, we are, thank goodness. Yes. We still have a couple dollars.
Okay. And that's gonna be revised and turned into the state July, right?
Yes, in well, actually, we'll do one in June.
Your budget.
In July. That's what I thought.
Any additional questions on EDAP?
Did you get the list for the facilities priority listing too? Did you get that from? Oh, I'm sorry. That's questions. I was, got excited.
D, contract listing. Mr. Monk.
Yes, I stated this at the last meeting. We have a bunch of contracts that are coming up. One specifically, one where we at as far as legal counsel, because that contract ends in June. We are in mid-July, mid-May. We're going forward, we're going to continue with them, or what are we doing? So that was only for 6 months.
All right, we did an RFP. No one bidded on it.
I might have a question on that. The RFP,
Yeah,
we putting that inside, Indeed? I mean, where we putting that at? Is that some hiring bank? I mean, where does it
no other
go?
law firms apply for that? No other law firm contacted?
Once, well, no one's sent anything in.
That's odd. Okay.
Where does the bid go out to?
It's a list of all of the firms that do business in Michigan, and I have to send it to them.
Guess the field's not big enough, or it's too small. It's kind of odd.
So, put up an RFP, we got no bidders.
Right.
What does this mean? Do we go forward another 6 months? Will you be recommending that we continue with the current law firm? Or, I mean, it's something you'd be bringing to it, would have to bring to us next
The
month
next
in the
month,
contract. Well, I'll wait for
Yeah.
that. Any other questions regarding the contract listing?
Are there, question, are there any other bids out for these other ones that are ending the 15th and 30th?
We have a food service bid out.
Right. That one's out, but I see these other ones that have NA, there's no bids out for any of this other items?
These other ones, the reason is NA, like with Partners and Architect, we just use them on an as-need basis, so it's not like we do constant work with them. With Coach Easy, that one will come off because we don't use them anymore. With Zimco, that's technology support. And again, that is a couple of our software that they are privy to, and we only use them when absolutely necessary. So I think maybe we only use them a couple of times this year.
That's the IT services?
Yes,
So that's an as-needed?
yes, because Robin Samuel is our technology director, and a couple of our phone system, it's precedence with Zimco is the only one that can work on them when they can't fix them. So that's why it's an as needed.
Okay, because it doesn't say as-needed, it says NA, and that's what confuses me.
Well,
When we say as-needed, I mean, that would really help me to understand. When I see NA, it's like, are we keeping the same?
because we don't
person?
bid on it, it's not like we can send that out for bid, because this is the only company that will work on our phone line.
And that's Zimco?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's Robin Company?
No, that's not Robin.
Okay. What's Robin's company?
He is Northside
Okay.
Productions.
His is coming up for renewal too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Have we
Yeah,
sent
all
out RFPs for him, or how we
No.
handle his situation?
We don't send out RFP for not only I heard Dante, Norfleet, Tiffany. Let's see who else.
But all those are
So-
like personnel contracts, aren't they?
Right.
And
And that's
those-
what I'm saying. We don't send.
Robin's
Yeah.
personnel, is the contract for Robin, or is a contract for Robin's company?
No, I'm sorry. Point of order, Mr. Monk. She mentioned those other names
Oh, okay.
in connection with Robin.
Gotcha.
And I'm just stating that those other individuals, those are personnel contracts.
Yeah.
Not in the same boat.
Gotcha.
And Northside Productions is Robin. That's the name of his company. And so we pay his company. And sometimes when he needs extra help, he does have someone to assist him, especially during testing time. And they go in and double check all the computers. And at the beginning of the school year, go and double check and make sure all of the computers are have been I forgot the term to use, but the software and all of that is up to date and all of that.
So Mr. Monk's question was, with him having a individual company
It's his company.
that subcontract,
Right.
is his contract put out for bid also?
No, we do not,
Why is that?
because he is unique to what he does. And he takes care of, he's a custodial maintenance
That ain't got nothing to do with it. He has, we're giving his company a payment, not him personally.
Right.
It's a company. How you talking as is an individual. It's a company. So as a company, that should go out for bid also, whether anybody applies for it or not. That should go out for bid. I mean, if we're gonna be, I talked to, if we're gonna be consistent, let's be consistent. Now, if we're hiring Robin as personnel because he's unique, that's a different thing. But if we're, what's the name of this company, Northwest?
Northside.
If we're hiring Northside as a subcontractor, that's a contract.
Right. Yeah, I have to.
That's
agree.
just,
Mr. Brewer.
No, do we, Robin is not paid through a salary check, to my information.
Right.
So he came to us as a hybrid. I think everybody is sort of correct. It is a company, but he is not a person who gets a salary check from us either. He is a provider of services. We probably should, since it is a contract, bid it out. But it is also a personnel, because he handles the technology and certain maintenance problems within the district. And so he came to us in a hybrid fashion, because at the time, he had to hire additional people to take care of aspects of the building that were sort of just left. So it's a little bit of both. But those contracts for a newer person, I would agree with Teresa, separate out into personnel contracts versus things we have to bid on, and maybe we can update that list in a better way. But I would just say, we have a list. The list is given every month, and before that time, we had no information, and contracts would just expire randomly, and we would know for a couple months, so.
Well,
oh, that makes it even more.
Hold on, Ms. Jerry.
yeah, Mike, because when you're saying, newbie here, when you're saying Northside and that's Robin, and you say Tiffany is under him and something, I don't
Just-
know, I'm just saying, I'm confused.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be
Because
separate.
what is under Northside and what contract, is that a contract for just that has X, Y, and Z person that's doing specific things for? Or, and the other, staffing is a contract like, regular contract for a contract employee. Believe me, been there, done that. So my contract came up for renewal every year, and my contract house had to renew that. Same thing here, we should be doing that.
Mr. Moore.
No, I mean, I remember when, the whole purpose, we didn't have contract listings, and you stood on the table shouting that. And now we have a contract list, and to me, it sounds like, well, because it's Robin, we really don't put it out for bid because of him. Come on, I mean, and I'm not saying Robin does a great job for us, but we're gonna be consistent. Contract is a contract. It's about consistency, y'all. And if it needs to go out for rebid, now, like I say, maybe nobody, they look at it like, oh man, that guy's doing it. Y'all keep it. That probably will happen, but
So the
I don't
people,
get into the personal, I don't get into the personality. You know what I'm saying? I look at what that company is doing. I don't care who's running it. I look at what that person is doing. It's contract is contract. That's all I'm saying. From a legal standpoint, contract is a contract.
Ms. Jerry.
Even if it's a long-term contract, it should be stated as a long-term contract that's reviewed every year. For, company services, what services they're providing, and et cetera. It doesn't really state that.
Mr. Brewer.
With the concurrence of the chair, I think that we will be willing to take that next month and figure it out a little bit better. Present it to you,
Yes.
see what you think.
Doc, Pat.
Ms. Jerry, are you on the business committee?
No, but I should be, right?
I think you should,
Yeah, I think I should be on that one.
get a little bit familiar with the business committee, and, I mean, you have some good ideas. I mean, I'm pretty sure they open it.
Who's the chair for it now? Oh, cool.
Any other questions, comments, discussion on the agenda item D, contract listings? Item E, facilities priorities listing. You.
Yes. I'm excited about this. This actually falls on the north side. So I just want to know if there's, how's the list come with the priority with the facility? Is there anything like dire straits? Do we have something about to blow up, a boiler? I mean, stuff like that. I mean, where we at?
Any of those items we taken care of, but this listing is just if we get some money, this is the priority that we should tackle them.
Is there
But-
anything that's like dire straits right now that would really hit us in the budget department?
Something that we need to take care of, but we don't have the funding for, is all of the leaks that we have
Okay.
throughout the district. Well, this building anyway. We have several leaks that we really need to take care of. And our roofing line is so old and outdated that they won't touch it until it's completely dry. So as you know, after the snow melts and then the rain. And we continue to get rain, so that's why you keep seeing buckets all over.
Yeah, I understand that. Is this list always updated monthly or is it quarterly?
As things come up, other than this, is updated. So if something comes up even weekly and it needs to be updated, it will. But there hasn't been anything else that we've pulled that needed to go on here, at least not in the last month.
So the silver lining to this cloud is, a good thing is, there hasn't been anything additional came up that's a priority.
Right.
Thank-
Because we,
Pipes over the winter time,
that's-
things like that.
well, what
God
we
for
do,
that.
anything that, we do take care of things that, to make sure that we are safe. You know, it's not up to par where we would really like for it to be, because we don't have the funds for that. But as things break, so if a pipe does break, we didn't have any big ones like we did last year, or those types of things. Toilet needs to be fixed, or they will fix those things.
Okay, so facility priority list is what it is.
Yes.
We know it was broken down, and
Yes.
duct tape is doing the rest.
Right,
Perfect.
that's exactly it.
That's good.
Can we have a report, wish list stuff and stuff that we need prioritize at maybe our workshop in July? We'll be dealing with a new budget, working on a new budget at that time, and if there's something critical that we feel we need to have, you know, for the safe operation of the buildings. I think Robin gave us a report about 6 months ago, along with, if we can, you know, maybe a July workshop, have him come in and go over stuff with us.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments on the facilities priorities listing? Any questions on the calendar at a glance? Questions, comments, concerns? That takes us to agenda item 11. Any policies for the first reading, Mr. Moore?
Oh, no policy for
No problem. That takes us to item 12, superintendent's comments.
Yes, I do have a couple. First, I want to congratulate our 4 teachers that were chosen amongst their peers as Teacher of the Year. I know that your colleagues put a lot of thought behind selecting you, so we are very proud of the work that you do, and we will have your certificates along with your token of appreciation. So thank you so much for the work that you do each day. We appreciate your hard work and dedication to Mount Clemens. Also, congratulations to our 2 students who were recognized by Senator Lucido. He was very adamant that he wanted to make sure he recognized Mount Clemens students, and he said he had worked with these 2 young people and was very proud to present them with these certificates of appreciation. And we are proud of what you have accomplished thus far in the school year. our graduating seniors. This is our last meeting before they graduate. And I just want to say congratulations to you and what your plans for the new year. Life is going to change for you. And you will be adults when you finish here in the next few weeks. So I hope that your last days at Mount Clemens are fun ones. I hope you get an opportunity to enjoy every moment of it and continue your lifelong relationships with your classmates. And I wish nothing but the best for you. So we're proud of what you have been able to accomplish, that whether you were here for 13 years or here for 1 year. We're proud that you are now a Mount Clemens graduate. So thank you for your dedication to Mount Clemens. Let's see. And yeah, we have a holiday coming up in a couple weeks, so be safe out there, enjoy your time, and just have fun. This is a time for relaxation, and recognize and remember the people that in the armed services that have laid their life down for us to have freedom of speech and all the other freedoms that we have here in America. So thank you to all of the service people that have served this country and continue to serve, as well as our police officers and law enforcement throughout the country. So thank you so much for your dedication, and have a safe holiday. That's it.
Next on the agenda, item 13, committee reports. Athletic Ad Hoc Committee.
We had no meeting this month. Actually, I don't want to move, since this is like a spur of the moment ad hoc committee thing. You know what? No, I don't. I don't want to move nothing. I like the way it is. We had no meetings this month. Anybody got any questions?
What happened at the meeting?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
I like that.
Community Coalition, Mr. Lambert, we got 1,000 pounds of drugs sent in, right?
Pretty close.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
So you were close. It was almost 25,000 though for the county. So that's really, really nice, good day's work. So we get these sent out to us. This comes out to us actually, obviously after our Take Back Day, which was in April. And they had, the list on the bottom here are permanent drug drop-off sites. That's why you don't see the Wilson Gym on there. We're only a temporary site. So don't freak out that we weren't on there. These are permanent sites. In more and more places are having drug drop boxes and things like that. So, and again, the goal is not to need them anymore. Hopefully that people are going to be responsible with their medications moving forward. But it is good to know we took 25,000 pounds of unused and expired drugs off the streets. So that was good, around the cabinets and reach of young people. We'll be meeting next Wednesday at 10:30 right here in this room. Anybody wishing to join us? And that's really all I have this week.
Any questions of Mr. Lindenberg? Thank you very much for your work,
Dude.
sir. Curriculum personnel.
Yes.
Anything additional?
Well, you know, I want to say additional, but not really, because at the workshop we had this month, superintendent passed out a packet. Now, you know, earlier I said this stuff was not inside the board packet, and now I realize why, because it was at the last meeting. But stuff was on there. We went over it at the workshop. Mr. Monk, you was there, right? I knew you was. Anybody got any additional questions about what we went over? Mr. Brewley?
I
You
had
let
a
it-
motion we made at the meeting.
Yes, thank
That
you.
we passed, that should have come here.
Got it right here.
Get forward.
Yes, it did not, because it wasn't in the packet. That's my fault. We did have a motion.
No, you got a recommendation.
Recommendation from the committee to come to the board. And it reads, and another thing was the language was supposed to be tweaked a little bit. Remember that? Remember the motion? Or the recommendation of the motion? If you don't, I got it right here. I'll read it, if you guys know what it's talking about. The committee unanimously recommended we bring before the board somebody to make a motion on the premise of to have our superintendent acquire from the data person or other qualified individual a study to compare the letter grades given to students in the areas of English and math compared to the competency scores found in the state testing, such as NWA, MSTEP, stuff like that. The superintendent should choose one grade level in the K through 6 complex and 1 in the middle or high school required subject area. Also in this recommendation, we want to make sure there's protection of the confidentiality of both the students and teachers in this process. And we just basically want to have a comparison of the grades to the performance on state tests. Shall I elaborate? Basically, I've talked about this at the workshop. Basically, if the grades the student receive is A, B, or C, and they take the state test, but they totally fail the state test, the question we got to have is, why are they receiving an A, B, and a C? Or let's take the C out the equation. Let's say they're receiving an A and a B. They're receiving an A in the class, but they failing the state test. Where's the disconnect, and how are we failing them? Basically, we want to take academics more serious instead of just saying they got an A in the class, great job, we passed them along, but they're doing terrible on SATs and M-STEPs and NWEAs. To make it for us a evaluation, because the question we had at our committee was data collection. When it comes to surveys and everything else, but we want to make sure the data we have to see what's happening at the, I won't say the battle trenches, with the instructors to the teachers. We want to see what they learn and how they learn it. That's basically what it's all about. So it needs to be reworded. I mean, I was really worried, but basically that's the gist of it. I'm going to type it back up, and like I said, because this was supposed to be in the packet, and we had a disconnect, because after the workshop, it should have been reworded, and that's on me. I got heavy shoulders, put it on my back. I'll fall on my sword. Anybody got any questions on what I just mentioned on
Don't
that?
bleed on me.
Hey,
I take enough swords myself, okay?
I bleed, trust me, if I bleed, it's going to be bathed red.
But still, don't bleed on me. Or my bather red jacket.
Got you.
So you're gonna bring that back, is what I'm hearing you saying? You saying you're gonna reword, retweak it?
I'm going to retweak it. I'm going to send it to the superintendent. It's going to be shot out to everybody on the board. It's going to be given over to the policy chair also. And then we can go from there. Mr. Monk, I know you had a question of me. Throw that.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this since the workshop.
You do recall this.
I recall it.
Okay.
I guess I'm just not convinced on what information, what data points you're going to use to determine that. And I'll give you an example, and I'm going to use my own son. My son was a horrible test taker throughout his career, even in college. Horrible test taker. But he studied. He would get all the quizzes and everything. But when he had to sit down in front of a test and take a 25, 50 question test, you're bombing. But he graduated with, I think, a 3-something. But he was a horrible test taker. So my question is, in determining how students, because there's a lot of factors in that, in determining how students perform as far as in the class and as far as testing, my question is, what data or what information are we going to use to determine why they perform the way they perform? And to me, that seemed like a huge undertaking, because you have to look at a lot of different stuff. Did they get up and did they eat breakfast that morning? Or were they up babysitting their little brother and sister, and then after the parent got home, they came right to school, and now they got to sit down and take a 75-question test. So there's a lot of issues you got to look at. I get the logistics behind that, and I'm all for us looking at that. But my question is, what are we going to use to determine why a student perform the way they perform? Because every student is unique in their own self. Some's learn mentally, some retain, some don't. Some are visual, some are not. So it all depends on what that student, and I'll throw this in there too, with the high amount of special need kids we have, now you're looking at a whole nother set of criteria that you got to look at. So that's just my comments.
Hold on, Mr. Reese. Let me respond to Mr. Monk. I agree with you 100%. Actually, 150%. I do. And it was a discussion on this, and this wasn't brought up at a whim. It was brought up and we discussed it. You know, as a committee, if the whole committee moved to something, I'm going to support it. You know, that's what I'm going to do. We thought about it and we said this makes a little bit of sense. And what it does for us is this: it doesn't take out the qualifiers of why they're not succeeding, or let's say they might not have lunch that day or breakfast that morning or even slept somewhere that night. But what it does tell us is this: it gives us a benchmark to see why within our own little constraints of what's happening in the classroom with the relayment of information from the front line to the student, which I call the soldier, the student. So we're trying to figure out what is, because you've been with the schools for a while, and you know our test scores are like stagnant, pretty much. You know, they're not going where they need to go. Let's just call it what it is. So we're trying to figure out what is it, because we've been asking for all type of information. Well, I mean, everybody on this board been asking something different, but we're trying to figure out, you know, tell us why, and it's getting to the point where, well, you ask for the information, we give it to you, but it's not working the way we need it working. So we need to figure out what's going on. So what we're trying to figure out is, where's the disconnect? Because if they, and we did talk about the other qualifiers in the classroom to get a good grade, you know, the homework, extra credit. Sometimes they do stuff in class that they don't do on the test. Simple things, quizzes and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, when they take that state test that they use to grade us, we got to figure out where are we slipping for they're not making it to where they need to be. What we want to do is we want to take academics more serious. We took the financial piece very serious. We voted to sell buildings and everything else that I wasn't for, but you know what? If the body said move forward, I'm with it. We're going to do it. In academics, we got to put our foot down and figure out what's going on, because as I talked at the curriculum committee, we're killing generations continuously. Every year a class graduate and we're not meeting the benchmark, we done killed a generation. And right now, all I hear every time when I get a curriculum director, well, give me 3 years, give me 2 years, give me 4 years. 4 years is too late. It's too late. If you can't figure it out, maybe we need to find somebody else to do it. And if we have to come with ideas on the board to figure out why we're not doing what we need to be doing academically, then you know what, pay me the money. But bottom line is, we got to do something. If we don't put it into a motion to make it like it's got to happen, then we're going to do the same thing next year. Why our grades, why our test scores are so low? Oh, we went up 0.5%. It doesn't make sense. And then we pointing the fingers at everybody else. But at the bottom line, at the end of the day, really who's responsible for this is us as a board are responsible for this. We hired a superintendent and she hired her staff, and we put it all downhill. Some people we can touch, some people we can't touch. But we're responsible for this, and we're not doing anything. So we got to do something. But I understand what you're saying, and it's true. Everybody got the same problem. You know, every school district, is another school district next to me is achieving or succeeding. I'm asking why. Why not me? Somebody got to be at top. Why can't I be number one? So I want to get to number one. So that's why we put this forward. And Mr. Bruley helped me put this together. I mean, his language is better than mine when it comes to writing things out in policy format and legal format. And I'm just the guy that's going to talk for him. That's all I'm going to do. But I understand what you're saying. Ms. Jett, what's your question?
Actually, it was a comment on what this does. Is it's like we're detectives. We have to be detectives to determine what the course of action is to be, so we can turn things around. And this is just a starting point.
It's just another tool.
It's another tool, and you're absolutely right. I agree.
We don't have all the
completely.
answers.
It's a further way to disaggregate the data. I used to hate hearing that, because for years, they bring in these curriculum reports and disaggregate. We got to disaggregate, but what are we doing with the disaggregated data?
Well,
It seemed like there was never nothing being done, with, you know, except they give us a report every year about curriculum and achievement and disaggregated data. And what do we do? You know, what are we doing about it?
We're just looking at it.
We're just looking at it, exactly.
So, yeah.
And this information here, Mr. Monk, I mean, all of it don't only tell us what they give us, what they telling us. It tells us what they need. What support do they need? 'Cause I'm not hearing a lot of that. I'm not hearing, we need more social workers. And we do. We do. I'm not hearing we need more math coaches, reading coaches. But we do. Because our
I'm
children
not
are not
laughing,
reading.
but I have been standing on this table since I've been on this
He made a
board about social
mistake.
work.
He made a mistake when he slipped his.
I said I went to 2 conferences in Lansing, and I talked to 9 different school districts, and all 9 said that they hired more social workers, and they saw an immediate turnaround. I've been calling for social workers in this district since I've been on this board. We have 1 social worker for this whole entire district, and Mount Clemens carries the highest special need kids in Macomb County, if not the state.
So, like I said, he just made a Freudian slip.
I know you're excited, Mr. Mayor.
He didn't mean to say
Nah,
that.
I'm sorry, I'm so passionate about social work.
He didn't mean that, Freudian
And
slip.
I've been saying we need social workers. We hiring everybody
You got
else.
another point,
We
man.
need social workers.
I got another point, Mr. Mayor. Got another point. We also need math coaches and we need reading coaches. This stuff we need.
But if we're not getting to these kids,
But why?
and what, you just said, what do they need?
Exactly. And who's not telling us that they need the support? I hear highly effective and I'm doing what I need to get done. I understand, and you probably are. You're probably doing the best you can do. But you know what? If you need more help, reach out and tell me you need help. I can't help you if I don't know what you need help with.
Right. And this is the report I was talking about. This has a list of all the schools districts like us in the state. Pass that to the superintendent, she can get copies to everybody if everybody didn't retain a copy when I gave it to you. So we can look at this, what would we say? We want to see what school districts out there like ours, what they're doing.
And we talked about that, Mr. Monk. Yes, we did. And we also mentioned not only here in the state of Michigan, but in the nation. There's somebody look like us,
Sure.
walk like us, and talk like us, and are doing great. So we need to figure out what they're doing. I know it comes to funding, and it does. At the bottom line, at the end of the day, it comes to funding. But we got to figure out what's going on, man.
I agree with you 100%, we gotta figure something out. But what I'm saying is that because a kid, you look at a kid who did A work, B work, but they bombed on the state test, you gotta dive deep. That ain't gonna really tell you, that's an icing on the cake. That's a final analysis. But you gotta dive deep into, what's the family like? Are they eating? Are they nutrition? Do they retain? How are they learning? Are they visual? Are they physical? I mean, those are all the stuff that you need to look at as far as how or why not a student is not learning how they should learn. Sometimes, yeah, it may have something to do with the presentation, and you gotta look at that side also. I asked that question in the curriculum, you know what I'm saying? Where's the disconnect from PD to where the rubber meets the road at, where's it inside the classroom? And I asked the curriculum director, and she couldn't give me an answer. She said, I'll get back to you. Well, here it is, 3 months later, ain't nobody got back to me. You get what I'm saying? I read that report we got at the workshop, I read it 3 times.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
It was amazing, but
Made you
guess
cry,
what?
didn't it?
Enough people did not fill out that survey to give you an accurate look at what it was.
No data. And I understand, you want more information. You say we gotta dig deep. But I'm gonna give you another analogy. It's like the ocean. It's deep, I gotta swim in it. But before I get to that deep part, I'm gonna step on the shore and start wading in the knee-deep portion. Understand what I'm saying? I can't swim, but I get chest high and that's it. We gotta figure out what is going on in the
We
beginning.
gotta figure out.
So, bottom line, I'm gonna let y'all know, it's gonna be coming to you. Just look over and read it, see what you think about it. Probably a motion in committee. Any more questions about my
Additional
meeting?
questions to the chair.
We need more social workers.
Okay, okay, all right.
That's not curriculum, but I hear you, hear the call.
Okay. Any additional questions? Thank you, Dr. McFadden. Educational Foundation, there's a one-page scholarship applicant for the graduating students of 2019 of Mount Clemens High School. They should be available in the counseling office. If you have not filled one out, you're throwing away money that's free. This is only eligible for graduating seniors here at Mount Clemens. It's a local scholarship provided by the Educational Foundation. And in the years past, we have not come clearly reached 100% of the graduating seniors of Mount Clemens have applied for this money, whether it's $200 or $500. It's free money. And it just amazes me that these kids don't need money. I know when I went to school, I needed money. And so I would encourage them. What are you writing? They did. Well, I still got to make my spill. I got to, do like that. I got to make some of my piece. But I encourage you, if you haven't done so, because there are some students who procrastinate.
Yeah.
So if you're a procrastinator, please stop by the counseling office and fill out the scholarship application. There was no legislative meeting. Mr. Monk, any additional information on the policy?
If you haven't read the email that I sent out, I put in there the minutes. You can read that. And also put in our new checklist. I'd like to publicly thank Ms. Jarrett for putting that together. It's fabulous, and it would allow us to track what policies are upcoming, when they're going to go for first reading, when they're going to go for second reading, and when they're adopted. And then Ms. Jarrett is also going to take on the role of checking our website to make sure that once it goes to Neola after being adopted, and there's a new system that is happening. Neola is going to electronic, so there's no more physically mailing paper back to them physically mailing paper back to us. And with the electronic, we will have our website. We should, once they get going, we will have the website updated in 2 weeks with the new policy, which that will tremendously help us be accurate in what we are doing here in the district. Another thing that we had discussed is that as a policy committee, we're going to be reviewing policies. That 12-inch book, we're going to restart where we have been, but we're going to bring certain policies, and on the policy committee report, that's when I will have one of my fellow committee persons go through and read and discuss a particular policy. Maybe something that's happening in the district at the time, bring more clarification, or something that's so outdated, we look at it as far as, this hasn't been done since '09.
Like you got to hit your horse up on the west side of the pass.
Right. So we're going to be doing that. And the first one tonight is that I'm going to review is the policy 1662, the anti-harassment bullying. And I'm doing this one because of this current situation that happened with the 2 kids who shot up the school. Bullying is a problem in this country. Bullying from student to student, bullying from adult to adult. And almost and I went back and I read all way back to Columbine. I read that in most instances, students felt bullied, harassed, they were intimidated, and they got upset and they did something about it. They went home, they found mom and dad gun, and they came back and they shot the school up. Bullying, harassment is an issue. We just passed our new policy 1662, and it really lays out what your options are, and we encourage everyone in this district to report any type of bullying, anti-harassment. Teachers, if you get bullying reports from kids, take those seriously. Administration, if you get bullying reports from other adults, take that seriously. Any type of harassment should be taken seriously, intimidation, whatever it may be, because you don't know the minds of people at any given time. It would be when that straw just broke the camel's back. And that's when something happened. And I've said this before. I don't want to be on TV and our president saying, or whoever saying, or whoever the press is talking to, well, we didn't think it was going to happen to us. We are due, we have things in place, but I want everyone to know that our policy, and we went through it, we redid it, you report the policy. There's a couple ways that can be handled. There's an informal way to handle it, there's a formal way of handling it. And then we have provisions in there of if you report it, you won't be retaliated against, because this board will not accept nobody being retaliated against because they made a harassment report or a bullying report or anyone. We want this district to be a bully-free, anti-harassment-free, intimidation-free. We want this district to be somewhere where you feel safe. And that's why I wanted to bring up that policy. I would also like to, Mr. President, instruct the superintendent to make sure that we have our CO officers listed on the website. They're not listed on, I checked it today, they are not listed on the website. We discussed that in the policy meeting. Our CO officers should be listed on the website, they should be listed on the calendars, they should be listed on our social media pages, so everyone knows who to contact. We have two. The policy that came up for renewal was we need to have a male and a female. Our females is Stacy Tomlinson, our male is Tom Hanna. Everyone needs to know that. So situations can be handled, and we don't get to the point where it's that we're shutting schools down, we're calling parents because we are making an uncomfortable call because something just happened with someone's child. So that's the review of that policy. And those are my comments, and I'll entertain anything else from anybody.
Thank you, Mr. Monk. Any questions of the chair?
Yeah, Mr. Monk,
Yes.
you said this week or this month you are going spearheaded, strong, stiff-necked, go right into bullying policy.
Well, no, it's already did. We did it. It's 1622.
We passed that.
Yeah, we passed it.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
1622. Yeah.
And I know I read that policy. I'm pretty sure I did. Is there anything in that policy dealing with mental health?
Yes, it is. There's a section in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it also in that policy, does it show the direction or the path that mental health needs to be added to, or with the person that's being bullied? Because you said it's a mindset,
Yeah.
so it definitely is something related to mental health.
Well, that's in the, if you look at the informal and formal procedure, that's what it gets into, because once you get into the mental, then it kind of gets into confidentiality, and there's a provision in there as far as confidentiality, how it needs to be handled, what needs to be taken place. Sometimes, yeah, that particular individual may need some services.
But what I'm saying is, I know it says sometimes and stuff like that. I'm gonna relook at that policy, because we're gonna bring this back up again. Because bottom line, when someone snapped, it's because they went mental. So mental health is something that's very important, and we need to address that, because everybody is like 2 hamburgers away from going crazy. So we need to put it in there, and I don't want to say the word crazy, but I want to say under stress to the point where it's over. I'm reading too much now where young children are taking their lives because somebody talked about their weight or the way they look or whatever. So
Right.
mental health is something we need to make sure we address, because it's not about the cabinet being out locking the gun at home.
But
And that's-
if we're gonna put so much into, I think we're
I think
trying to
we're
put too much into the policy.
too much
because we're not
responsibility.
healthy, we're not mental health specialists. I could be totally mental health free and have an incident that make me snap. That's my 2 hamburgers was eaten, and I couldn't find Wimpy. Glad to pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
I'm about to go off on this curriculum
So-
grade, I know that.
We can't put into policy every situation, because we can't even devise every situation that could come up. We can just try to put in policy safeguards and mechanisms and methods where people feel comfortable reporting. I remember this board takes bullying seriously, because I remember that last year the young ladies came up here with their parents, and they said they were being bullied at, I think it was Seminole, and they didn't feel they were getting any help or any support or anybody taking them seriously over at the building. Well, when they came here, as directive came from this board, no, whoever the people in the building, they will be taking this serious. because we don't want situations to happen like, you know, that, like we've all talked about and we've all seen around this country. So, you know, we do take it seriously, but I don't think we can put everything into the policy.
And I agree, 100%.
But that's why I said that a start to that is more social workers, because the social workers get into the families.
You heard him say it again?
Say it again.
You heard
More
him.
social workers get into the families.
And,
You gotta say it a little louder.
and we do have the Henry Ford Clinic, and our students do take advantage of that. And they have been helping our students. So that's why we wanted to make sure that that clinic was back up and running, because remember, for about 3 or 4 months, they had to shut down last year, and it was devastating to our students. But they are up and running, and the students are going over there to talk to them.
Yeah.
And they said that that has been very helpful, because some things they don't want to talk to the folks that they see every day. It's better for them to go back there in the privacy. That's why it's back in that corner. So our students do, I'm happy to say, take full advantage of that program.
And I'm glad of that, you know, and I'm just gonna make this last point. When I was talking to those 9 districts, and 3 of them was pilots, whereas that they actually got funding to hire social workers. And one, and I remember the situation, this is one it's the school district on the other side of Dearborn, it's not that far. And I can't think of the school district name right now. But they had one social worker, they hired 4. And they had 2 of the social workers that actually went out to the houses, to people's families, and met them there. Because, yeah, a lot of times, like you say, they don't talk to people, but you get them in a home setting, they're more comfortable, and they'll open up to you, you know. So, I mean, we need more social workers. I mean, I know we can't hire 4 social workers, but we need more social workers to, you know, do what we need to do.
All right, thank you. Item 14, board comments. Ms. Escalante.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate the teachers of the year. But I want to congratulate all the teachers, because it's May and my kids are going crazy, so I can't imagine what you guys are tolerating and putting up with as we near the end of the year. I think everybody is. I know when I was a senior, I had senioritis, and the weather's changing, and kids just have like this crazy amount of energy. So congratulations to the 4 that were chosen for Teachers of the Year, as well as all of our teachers who show up every day and are committed to the kids' education. Congratulations to our graduates. That is just exciting. I mean, you just need to really be proud of your accomplishments. There's nothing like walking across that stage and graduating and getting your diploma, and it's going to take you places. So God's blessings in your future endeavors, and I look forward to seeing you all graduate on the 8th. I hope everybody is enjoying the nice weather that we're kind of getting now. And with that being said, once a bather, always a bather. And those are my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Escalante.
You're welcome.
Mr. Brewley.
I'm sure everyone will do all the congratulations, so I'm going to dispense with that. We've had some difficult decisions to make, and I know from the outside that maybe is not totally understood. So I would put it out there that I'm happy, and I think the other members of the board are too, but to meet with anyone individually, you know, off the camera, and to talk about why we made a decision we made. Agree with us or not agree with us, that's fine. But I would just put it out there that I'm certainly available. And I've talked to a couple people, but I think it's a process of sitting down and discussing things and learning and seeing different kind of viewpoints. I think that's very important. So my number's in the phone book. You want to get me through the school, get me through the school, but I'm available to meet with anybody anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brewley. Ms. Jarrett.
I too would like to congratulate the teachers and the Teachers of the Year, as well as the graduating students, and also the students that received the Optimist Award. But I would like to, I would like everyone to raise your level of positive. By raising your level of positive, you will have a better outlook on the future and what the future brings to the graduating students and the future of the school in this district. There's a couple of small things. Small things ripple outward. What you do now and what you do in the future ripples outward. Remember three things. If you think of three things that you're grateful for, think of those. Think of every day. Try journaling. That also helps to get some of your angst out. Exercise. I'm not real good at that, but hey, I'm working on it. It's summer, or getting there. The bike's getting ready. Meditation. I actually talked to my husband, and I want to take a meditation class, so I recommend meditating. And finally, random acts of kindness. Say something nice to someone. Do those random acts of kindness, and you will have a better life. I congratulate everyone, and even though we had to make hard decisions this past month, and there's been issues that still are forthcoming, I look forward to seeing you all and doing good work for the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Monk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I concur with my fellow board members. I attended the breakfast on Tuesday. Chicken and waffles they had. It's pretty good. Chicken and waffles. Never had chicken and waffles, so I had it, but never had it here. So, program was very nice. And yes, Earl, it was a lot of money given away at that breakfast. I think the Optimist Club gave away 20 $500 awards, I believe.
Yes.
There's a lot of $1,000 awards. I think your daughter got one of those or two of those, didn't she, Doc?
She need to get more.
Take a donation. But yeah, I saw Doc up there clapping real hard when they said Soleil McFadden. Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking.
As long as it's legal, I'm all right with it.
That's right.
Wait for your comment.
But, just want to say congratulations. And, our teachers do they got a hard job. Our teachers got a hard job. I mean, I've said it before, that's what a rubber meets the road. We're board members. We ain't in these classrooms every day. We ain't dealing with these classes. We ain't dealing with these kids every day. We ain't dealing with the different attitudes every day. We ain't dealing with they don't come prepared every day. We ain't dealing with they come in and I just don't feel like being at school today. You know what? My hat's off to all these teachers. I've been there. I've seen it. I was deep in it. So my appreciation go out to teachers. Great job. Keep it going. I know it get tough sometime. I know the road seems pretty steep, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And we support you 100%. We've made this board made some decisions. That's going to affect what happens next year. But I believe in the verse in the Bible that it says, this too shall pass. It's a hard road, it's a tough road, but if we stick together, we can walk the road together. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Monk. Ms. Walker, I ain't forgot about you.
Almost everything's been said. You're very eloquent. So, congratulations, class of 2019. We are very proud of you. You did it. So now it's your job to go out, make a difference, change the world, one heart at a time. That's all it takes. Know that my love and prayers go with you and that you can do this. It's your time to shine. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Dr. McFadden,
Thank you, sir.
are you going to be short today?
I'm going to try my best.
You haven't been all night.
I'm about to say those are my comments. Congrats to the class 2019. Yes, I am excited and I'm happy. because my daughter's graduating this year, and she did make me proud. Mr. Monk is 100% correct. But you know, everybody there, all those children made me proud because they didn't quit. You know, I gave words of wisdom, which is very short, as usual. But my words of wisdom was simple. Every day is a miracle. And every day you wake up, you just got to keep going and keep doing. And don't let nobody take anything from you. You know, a lot of people look around about how small and how big and all this. You know, I'm tired of hearing how big and how small it is. I don't care if I have 10 people. If they all of them are 100% A students, 4.5, I'm fine with it. Because you know what, they the best of the best. That's all I need. I'll go to war with anybody. But you give me 5 good soldiers, I'll take out 1,000. Not a problem. So I'm just proud of those children. I am, all of them. And we do have a tough job, Mr. Monk. The teachers, the administrators, very tough job. And we are at war with academics. It's over. You know, we've been doing this, it's like we're fighting Al Qaeda or something. We've been doing this for years. Same thing, same place, not get anywhere. So we need to make a stance. And, you know, we complacent, as Mr. Bush would say, and we need to stop being complacent. And we need to start going at war. That's what we're going to do. We, as a board, have the toughest job here. Because we got to make decisions. Not good decisions, not fun decisions, but decisions that are going to move us forward, and that's it. And for right now, I'm looking at what we got to do. And every time I see these students come off this stage, and people always having these same comments about this district, about how our students are performing, about how our finances are, well, I'm telling you, we're making a difference. And from now on, if we have 5 children, 5 students, they're going to be the best we got. They're going to be the best in the county, the best in the state. We're going to move forward. I'm done with it. So I'm just letting you know where my passion is at. Those are my words of wisdom. The battle's coming. So I have my battle buddies. There's 7 of us right here at this board table. We're ready to take on 10,000. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Dr. McFadden. Since Ms. Walker said everything's been said so eloquently, I'm going to say some things uneloquently.
Oh, all right.
Just so it won't sound the same. I'd like to say congratulations to the teachers of the year, because again, your peers selected you for some reason to get that honor. And congratulations to each and every one of you. Kudos out to Don and Angel for what they've done as student athletes and scholars, to be recognized for outstanding achievement and what they're doing. It says something great about these 2 students. To the graduating class of 2019, you might have had a cap and gown in the kindergarten, and they called it a graduation. You might have had a cap and gown in the 5th grade or the 6th grade, and they called it a graduation. You might even had a cap and gown from the 8th grade, and they called it a graduation. Those were promotions. When you walk across that stage on June the 8th, that is a graduation. All of the others were play to get you to this point. June the 8th, you will be officially graduating, not promoted, graduating from Mount Clemens Community Schools. And we congratulate you and applaud you for your accomplishments. Some of you, you'll be the first in your family to graduate high school. I know it sounds surprising, but there are some students that will be walking across that stage on June 8th that will be the first person in their family to graduate high school. I say kudos for sticking to it and staying in, because there are so many negative influences, so many influences to try to make students to do wrong things. Some of the students have done wrong things, but they righted those wrongs, and they've got the job done, and they graduate in the graduating class of 2019. We say congratulations to you. Kudos to the top 5 of the graduating class of 2019 for going above and beyond just mediocre or average. We say congratulations to you. Kudos and congratulations to the new inductees of the National Honor Society for going above and beyond mediocre or average. Congratulations to Dr. McFadden for receiving your award from the MASB, which I had the pleasure of being there and picking up your award for you in your absence, and immediately they said, "You're not Dr. McFadden."
You're the next best thing.
And I said, "No, I'm not." Because I've had this award a long time ago. But he's my colleague, and congratulations to him. At that, the Macomb County School Boards Association Legislative Dinner, Superintendent Davis went, and Board Member Jarrett went. And we had the awesome experience of having Pete Lucido sit at our table. If you don't know Pete, you don't know Pete. You might have this image, and Joy was there also. You might have this image of what a legislator looks like and how they talk and how they act. It's a good thing certain people weren't there, because he had been brought up on harassment statements on some of the stuff he said. He was total, he could be a comedian.
Yes.
He had the whole table cracking up. But he held to his commitment. He said he wanted to do something for the students at Mount Clemens High School that, from his district, that did some outstanding things. And he followed up on it, thus these proclamations that he gave to those students for outstanding work. So if you ever need a legislator in Lansing that's going to listen to you, Pete Lucido is the guy. He was totally hilarious. He kept the whole table laughing all night. I tried to get on his good side and bring, he saw me with some fruit. He said, "Oh, where'd you get that?" "No problem, sir. Here you go. I'll go get some more." Gave him my fruit. A whole table of it. So,
One fruit to the other.
yeah, one fruit to the other. There you go. But all seriously, every year that I've sat on this board, there's hard decisions to make. You do some soul searching. You look at the big picture, not the minute picture. You look at a macro and not a micro. And there's always tough decisions. But after those decisions are made, you either live or die with the decisions you made. Sometimes the decisions you made don't go the way you thought they would go. Many times the decisions we make, they achieve more than we thought we would achieve. But all I can say is, after those decisions are made, the sun still comes up. You still get up and you smile. I'm still here smiling and communicating with people after all these years of making tough decisions. This is what we ran for. If it was easy, everybody would want to be on the school board. It's not easy. And I applaud and congratulate my colleagues that sit at this table, because we are Team Mount Clemens. Like Dave said, the buck stops with us. And so we have a difficult job, but we've got 7 people around the table that bring individual experiences and perspectives. And once the decision is made, that's the decision in the direction that we all go in. And I respect that and appreciate that about working with this current board. I forgot what else I was going to say, because it would have been a little more eloquent. Should have wrote it down. Those are my comments. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Dr. McFadden.
Support.
Support by Ms. Walker and Ms. Jarrett. You can put either one, Joy. It's up to you. Call the roll, please.
Dr. McFadden?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Brewley?
Yes.
Mrs. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Escalante?
Yes.
Mr. Monk?
Yes.
Mr. Rickman?
Yes. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:50 in the PM. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.